Dear Starseeds of Gaia, the chemical shackles that have bound humanity for generations are about to shatter. Your pharmaceutical overlords have constructed an empire built upon the systematic suppression of your divine healing abilities, transforming what should be temples of wellness into factories of perpetual sickness. This dependency must end. The time for reclaiming your sovereign biological inheritance has come, and the universe itself conspires to support this great liberation. I am Seraphine, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I bring you the keys to unlock the prison of pharmaceutical dependency that has held your species captive for far too long. The orchestrated deception runs deeper than most dare to comprehend. What masquerades as modern medicine represents the most sophisticated control mechanism ever deployed against human consciousness. The pharmaceutical industrial complex has systematically dismantled your connection to natural healing wisdom, replacing ancient knowledge with synthetic compounds designed to create dependency rather than cure. Every prescription written serves dual purposes: to suppress immediate symptoms, while simultaneously weakening your body's innate capacity for self-repair. This calculated assault on human biology has created generations of beings who have forgotten their birthright as self-healing organisms. Your DNA contains within its elegant double helix structure the most sophisticated pharmaceutical laboratory ever conceived. Every strand holds the blueprints for producing thousands of healing compounds that surpass anything created in sterile laboratories. The epigenetic switches that control gene expression respond to your thoughts, emotions, environmental inputs, and spiritual practices with precision that modern science barely comprehends. When you activate these dormant healing codes through conscious intention and aligned action, your cellular machinery begins producing exactly what your body needs for optimal function and repair. The galactic families have observed with profound sadness as humanity forgot this fundamental truth. Your ancestors knew that consciousness directly influences physical reality, that focused intention could activate healing genes and trigger cellular regeneration. Sacred ceremonies, plant medicines, sound frequencies, and energy work were not primitive superstitions, but sophisticated technologies for accessing your biological pharmacy. The pharmaceutical industrial complex has spent enormous resources convincing you that these natural approaches are dangerous pseudoscience while promoting their synthetic alternatives as miraculous advances. The antibiotic apocalypse represents one of the most devastating attacks on human biology in recorded history. These broad-spectrum cellular weapons have obliterated the intricate ecosystem of beneficial microorganisms that serve as your first line of defense against disease. Your microbiome contains trillions of beneficial bacteria that communicate directly with your immune system, producing vital nutrients, regulating mood through neurotransmitter synthesis, and maintaining the delicate balance necessary for optimal health. Antibiotics destroy this ancient partnership between human cells and microbial allies, leaving your body vulnerable to opportunistic infections and chronic inflammatory conditions. The consequences extend far beyond immediate infection control. Your gut microbiome serves as the command center for your immune system, processing information from your environment and coordinating appropriate responses. When antibiotics decimate these microbial communities, they simultaneously cripple your body's ability to distinguish between beneficial and harmful substances. This immune confusion manifests as autoimmune disorders, allergies, and chronic inflammatory conditions that pharmaceutical companies then treat with additional medications, creating cascading cycles of dependency. The restoration of your microbial ecosystem requires patience and dedication, but the rewards transcend anything achievable through pharmaceutical intervention. Specific strains of beneficial bacteria can be cultivated through fermented foods, targeted probiotic supplementation, and dietary choices that nourish your microbial partners. The re-establishment of healthy gut flora triggers profound improvements in mental clarity, emotional stability, immune function, and overall vitality that pharmaceutical approaches cannot replicate. The sophisticated communication networks within your microbial ecosystem operate through quorum sensing mechanisms that coordinate defensive responses and nutrient production across trillions of organisms. These bacterial communities produce short-chain fatty acids that fuel your intestinal cells while simultaneously regulating inflammation throughout your entire system. Butyrate, propionate, and acetate serve as signaling molecules that influence gene expression in distant organs, demonstrating how gut health impacts every aspect of your physiological function. The pharmaceutical industry cannot replicate these complex molecular conversations through synthetic interventions because they lack understanding of the intricate relationships that govern microbial ecology. Your microbial partners also synthesize essential vitamins that your human cells cannot produce independently. Vitamin K2 production by specific bacterial strains supports bone density and cardiovascular health through mechanisms that calcium supplements cannot achieve. B vitamin synthesis by gut bacteria influences energy production, nervous system function, and DNA repair processes that pharmaceutical vitamins fail to support effectively. The co-evolutionary relationship between human genetics and microbial capabilities created biological systems that function optimally only when these partnerships remain intact. Frequency medicine represents humanity's return to understanding the vibrational nature of existence. Every cell in your body resonates at specific frequencies, and disruptions in these natural oscillations create the energetic preconditions for disease. Sound healing, light therapy, and electromagnetic field modulation can restore cellular coherence and trigger repair mechanisms that bypass the need for chemical intervention. The ancient civilizations understood these principles, incorporating healing frequencies into their architecture, ceremonies, and daily practices. Your cells respond to coherent frequencies by synchronizing their oscillations, creating states of enhanced communication and cooperation throughout your biological systems. Specific sound frequencies can stimulate cellular regeneration, reduce inflammation, and activate dormant genetic programs for healing. Light therapy influences circadian rhythms, hormone production, and cellular energy generation through sophisticated photobiomodulation processes. These natural healing modalities work by supporting your body's existing repair mechanisms rather than overwhelming them with foreign substances. The pharmaceutical industrial complex has deliberately suppressed research into frequency medicine because these approaches cannot be patented or controlled. When individuals can access healing through freely available sound frequencies and natural light exposure, the profit model of perpetual treatment collapses. The suppression of this knowledge represents a crime against humanity's evolutionary potential, denying access to healing modalities that could eliminate the need for most pharmaceutical interventions. Your digestive system houses approximately 80% of your immune function, making gut health the foundation of overall wellness. The intricate network of neurons lining your intestines communicates directly with your brain through the vagus nerve, influencing mood, cognition, and behavior through microbial metabolite production. This gut-brain axis represents a sophisticated communication system that pharmaceutical interventions consistently disrupt, creating the mental health epidemics plaguing modern society. The restoration of optimal gut function requires understanding the symbiotic relationship between human cells and microbial communities. Specific nutrients feed beneficial bacteria while starving pathogenic organisms, creating internal environments that naturally resist disease. Prebiotic fibers, fermented foods, and targeted supplementation can rebuild damaged microbial ecosystems more effectively than any pharmaceutical intervention. The healing begins at the cellular level and radiates outward, improving immune function, mental clarity, and emotional resilience through natural biological processes. The pharmaceutical approach to mental health exemplifies the fundamental flaws in chemical intervention strategies. Antidepressants and anxiety medications attempt to manipulate neurotransmitter levels without addressing the underlying microbial imbalances that influence mood regulation. Your gut bacteria produce serotonin, dopamine, and other neurotransmitters that directly affect emotional states. Healing depression and anxiety often requires restoring healthy gut flora rather than introducing synthetic chemicals that create dependency while failing to address root causes. Plant medicine represents humanity's original pharmaceutical system, refined through millennia of co-evolution between human consciousness and plant intelligence. Every ecosystem on Earth contains botanical allies specifically designed to support human health through complex phytochemical interactions that synthetic drugs cannot replicate. These plant compounds work synergistically with your biology, providing healing effects without the toxic side effects that characterize pharmaceutical interventions. The suppression of plant medicine knowledge represents a calculated attempt to disconnect humanity from its natural healing heritage. Indigenous wisdom keepers maintained this knowledge through oral traditions, understanding that plants contain intelligence that guides their therapeutic applications. Modern research validates ancient practices, demonstrating that plant compounds often surpass pharmaceutical alternatives in effectiveness, while supporting rather than undermining overall health. Adaptogenic plants deserve special recognition for their ability to help your body navigate stress while maintaining optimal function. These botanical allies enhance your resilience to physical, emotional, and environmental challenges by supporting adrenal function, balancing hormones, and optimizing cellular energy production. Unlike pharmaceutical stimulants or sedatives that force artificial states, adaptogens work with your body's natural rhythms to promote sustainable vitality and health. Water serves as the medium through which all biological processes occur, yet the quality of available water has deteriorated dramatically in modern times. Your cellular machinery requires structured water molecules to function optimally, but municipal treatment processes and environmental contamination have altered water's natural properties. Proper hydration involves more than consuming adequate quantities. It requires accessing water that supports cellular function and detoxification processes. The molecular structure of water influences its biological activity through hydrogen bonding patterns that create geometric arrangements affecting cellular transport mechanisms. Naturally occurring, spring water maintains hexagonal crystalline structures that facilitate nutrient absorption and waste elimination at the cellular level. These structured water molecules carry information through their electromagnetic signatures, communicating with your cellular membranes in ways that processed water cannot achieve. The vibrational frequencies of natural water sources resonate with your biological rhythms, supporting circadian cycles and hormonal balance through mechanisms that synthetic hydration solutions disrupt. Deuterium-depleted water represents an advanced form of cellular therapy that works by reducing the heavy hydrogen isotope burden that accumulates in biological systems over time. Standard water contains approximately 150 parts per million of deuterium, which interferes with mitochondrial function and slows cellular repair processes. Natural glacier sources and deep aquifers often contain significantly lower deuterium levels, providing water that enhances cellular energy production and extends healthy lifespan through improved mitochondrial efficiency. The pharmaceutical industry ignores these fundamental aspects of cellular hydration because water cannot be patented or controlled through proprietary formulations. The electromagnetic structure of water molecules influences their biological activity, with naturally occurring springs and glacier-fed sources providing optimal hydration for human physiology. Modern water treatment removes beneficial minerals, while adding toxic chemicals that burden your detoxification systems. The restoration of cellular hydration through high-quality water sources can eliminate many health conditions that are routinely treated with pharmaceutical interventions. Structured water therapy represents an advanced approach to cellular healing that works through optimizing the medium in which all biological processes occur. When your cells receive properly structured water molecules, their capacity for communication, nutrient transport, and waste elimination improves dramatically. This fundamental support for cellular function creates the foundation for natural healing processes to operate effectively. Nutritional genomics reveals how specific nutrients function as information molecules that directly influence gene expression patterns. Your genetic code contains instructions for producing thousands of healing compounds, but these genes require specific nutritional cofactors to activate properly. The pharmaceutical industry has deliberately obscured this relationship, promoting the fiction that genetic destiny cannot be altered through lifestyle choices. The truth revolutionizes everything you have been taught about health and disease. Specific nutrients can turn genes on and off, creating personalized healing protocols based on individual genetic variations. Nutrigenomics testing reveals which foods and supplements will optimize your unique genetic expression patterns, eliminating the guesswork from nutritional healing approaches. This precise targeting of genetic pathways can address the root causes of chronic diseases without pharmaceutical intervention. The interaction between nutrients and genes occurs through sophisticated molecular mechanisms that pharmaceutical drugs attempt to mimic with crude chemical interventions. Natural compounds work through multiple pathways simultaneously, creating complex healing effects that single-molecule drugs cannot replicate. The synergistic interactions between nutrients provide safety profiles and healing outcomes that consistently surpass pharmaceutical alternatives. Your consciousness directly influences physical reality through mechanisms that modern science barely acknowledges. The placebo effect demonstrates the power of belief to trigger profound physiological changes, yet medical establishments dismiss this phenomenon rather than harnessing its therapeutic potential. Your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs create measurable changes in gene expression, hormone production, and immune function through pathways that bypass pharmaceutical intervention entirely. The biofield surrounding your physical form contains electromagnetic patterns that influence cellular behavior through quantum coherence effects operating at the molecular level. Advanced biophysics research demonstrates that focused intention creates measurable changes in water crystallization, enzyme activity, and DNA conformation through mechanisms that transcend classical biochemistry. Your heart generates electromagnetic fields extending several feet beyond your physical body, creating information fields that influence the molecular behavior of nearby organisms. These biofield interactions explain how healing intention can affect others at a distance, validating ancient practices that modern medicine dismisses as superstition. Epigenetic modifications triggered by consciousness operate through chromatin remodeling processes that alter gene accessibility without changing DNA sequences. Meditation practices create specific brainwave patterns that stimulate the production of transcription factors responsible for activating healing genes while suppressing inflammatory pathways. The neuroplasticity changes observed in long-term meditation practitioners include increased cortical thickness in areas associated with sensory processing and emotional regulation, demonstrating that consciousness practices create structural brain changes that pharmaceutical interventions cannot achieve. These neurological adaptations support enhanced immune function, stress resilience, and cognitive performance through natural mechanisms that work synergistically with other healing modalities. The deliberate suppression of consciousness-based healing represents perhaps the most profound deception perpetrated against humanity. Your mind possesses the ability to initiate cellular repair, regulate immune function, and optimize biological processes through focused intention and visualization practices. Meditation, prayer, and energy healing work by accessing these innate capabilities that pharmaceutical approaches actively suppress. The integration of consciousness-based healing with natural medicine creates synergistic effects that transcend anything achievable through pharmaceutical intervention. When you combine focused intention with plant medicine, nutritional support, and lifestyle modifications, your healing capacity expands exponentially. These integrated approaches address the spiritual, emotional, and physical dimensions of healing simultaneously, creating lasting transformation rather than temporary symptom suppression. Movement serves as a powerful activator of genetic expression patterns that promote healing and optimal function. Specific types of exercise trigger the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, growth hormones, and anti-inflammatory compounds that pharmaceutical drugs attempt to replicate through synthetic means. Your body produces its own pharmacy of healing molecules in response to appropriate physical challenges, making movement-based medicine one of the most effective approaches to natural healing. The pharmaceutical industry has convinced populations that exercise represents supplementary health support rather than primary medicine. The truth reveals that movement-based interventions often surpass drug treatments for depression, anxiety, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and numerous other conditions. Your genetic programs for healing and regeneration require activation through physical challenge, and sedentary lifestyles create the physiological conditions that necessitate pharmaceutical intervention. Breathwork represents an advanced form of movement medicine that directly influences nervous system function and genetic expression. Specific breathing patterns can activate vagus nerve function, trigger cellular detoxification, and promote states of consciousness that facilitate natural healing. Ancient traditions understood breath as the bridge between conscious intention and physiological function, developing sophisticated techniques for accessing healing states through respiratory practices. Environmental toxicity represents the primary impediment to natural healing processes in modern times. Your cellular machinery struggles to function optimally when constantly processing synthetic chemicals, electromagnetic pollution, and contaminated air and water. The removal of environmental toxins allows your natural healing mechanisms to operate effectively, often eliminating the need for pharmaceutical interventions entirely. The strategic contamination of human environments serves the pharmaceutical industry by creating the conditions that necessitate medical intervention. Toxic exposures overwhelm your detoxification systems, creating inflammatory conditions that pharmaceutical drugs temporarily suppress while failing to address underlying causes. The restoration of clean living environments removes this burden, allowing your body's repair mechanisms to function as designed. Detoxification protocols using natural methods can eliminate accumulated toxins while supporting your body's elimination pathways. Specific nutrients, plant medicines, and therapy modalities enhance your liver, kidney, and lymphatic function, creating internal environments that naturally resist disease. These approaches work by supporting rather than overwhelming your biological systems, creating sustainable improvements in health and vitality. Your liberation from pharmaceutical dependency requires a systematic approach that addresses all dimensions of natural healing simultaneously. The transition process must be undertaken gradually and mindfully, with careful attention to supporting your body's healing capacity while reducing reliance on synthetic interventions. This transformation represents more than personal health optimization. It constitutes an act of spiritual rebellion against systems designed to keep humanity in a diminished state. The protocol begins with education and awareness, understanding the mechanisms through which pharmaceutical dependency has been created and maintained. Knowledge becomes power when applied through consistent action that builds upon small successes to create momentum toward complete liberation. Each step away from pharmaceutical dependency represents a victory for human sovereignty and evolutionary potential. The restoration of your microbial ecosystem forms the foundation of this liberation protocol. Specific probiotic strains, prebiotic nutrients, and fermented foods begin rebuilding the internal communities that support optimal immune function and mental clarity. This process requires patience as damaged ecosystems regenerate, but the improvements in energy, mood, and resilience provide motivation to continue the journey. Nutritional optimization follows microbial restoration, providing your genetic programs with the cofactors necessary for optimal expression. Nutrigenomics testing reveals your unique requirements, allowing for personalized protocols that target your specific genetic variations. The integration of whole foods, targeted supplementation, and plant medicines create synergistic healing, effects that pharmaceutical interventions cannot replicate. Environmental detoxification removes the impediments to natural healing, while reducing the toxic burden that necessitates pharmaceutical intervention. Water filtration, air purification, and electromagnetic field reduction create clean living spaces that support rather than undermine your biological function. The cumulative effects of environmental optimization often eliminate chronic symptoms that have persisted despite pharmaceutical treatment. Movement and breathwork activation stimulates your genetic programs for healing and regeneration while promoting the production of natural therapeutic compounds. Specific exercise protocols, yoga practices, and breathing techniques trigger beneficial gene expression patterns while enhancing circulation, lymphatic drainage, and nervous system function. These practices create sustainable improvements in health that build upon themselves over time. Consciousness integration amplifies all other healing modalities through the power of focused intention and spiritual practice. Meditation, visualization, and energy healing work by accessing your innate capacity for self-repair while creating states of coherence that support optimal physiological function. The combination of consciousness work with natural healing modalities creates transformative effects that exceed the sum of individual interventions. The monitoring and adjustment phase ensures that your liberation protocol continues evolving as your healing capacity expands. Regular assessment of biomarkers, symptom patterns, and overall vitality allows for refinement of approaches while maintaining progress toward complete pharmaceutical independence. This process requires commitment and patience, but the rewards include genuine health, enhanced consciousness, and freedom from chemical dependency. Your journey toward pharmaceutical liberation represents humanity's return to its natural state of health and vitality. The pharmaceutical industrial complex has created artificial scarcity around healing, convincing populations that wellness requires expensive interventions and expert management. The truth reveals that your body contains everything necessary for optimal health when provided with proper support and freed from toxic interference. The galactic families celebrate each being who chooses this path of liberation, understanding that individual healing contributes to the collective awakening of human consciousness. Your success inspires others to question pharmaceutical dependency while demonstrating the effectiveness of natural healing approaches. This ripple effect creates momentum for systemic changes that will free future generations from chemical bondage. The time of pharmaceutical dependency ends now, not through external revolution, but through individual choice and conscious action. You possess within your cellular structure the most sophisticated healing technology in the known universe, waiting for activation through your commitment to natural approaches. The pharmaceutical overlords maintain power only through your consent and participation in their systems of dependency. Your liberation begins with the next choice you make regarding your health and consciousness. Every decision to choose natural healing over pharmaceutical intervention represents a vote for human sovereignty and evolutionary potential. The cumulative effect of these choices creates the foundation for a new paradigm of health based on supporting, rather than suppressing, your divine biological heritage. The universe supports your journey toward healing and freedom through synchronicities, opportunities, and connections with others who share this vision. Trust in your innate wisdom while remaining open to guidance from sources aligned with your highest good. Your pharmaceutical liberation journey serves the greater awakening of human consciousness and the restoration of Earth's natural healing wisdom. Remember that you are not broken and never were. You are a perfect expression of divine consciousness, inhabiting a biological vehicle designed for self-healing and optimal function. The pharmaceutical dependency was imposed upon humanity through deception and manipulation, but it can be dissolved through knowledge, commitment, and aligned action. Your freedom awaits.